Imagine this. The rain tapped softly against the old window pane, and she sat there, hands wrapped around a warm cup of watching the world blur beyond the glass. The house was quiet now, far too quiet. The laughter of children, the chaos of early mornings, the endless sacrifices gone, like whispers carried away by time. She thought reaching this stage of life would feel peaceful. And yet, deep inside, she carried unspoken stories, regrets, and dreams too delicate to share. This is the thing no one tells you about growing older. Peace becomes your most valuable treasure. You spend years fighting to be heard, craving connection, believing openness will bring you closer to the people you love. But as the years pass, you learn a painful, beautiful truth: not everything you feel needs to be said, and not every thought belongs to everyone. Sometimes, silence protects more than words ever could. It guards your heart, shields your dignity, and preserves your calm. Because no matter how much you share, not everyone will understand your battles, your choices, or the path that shaped you. And that's okay. Now, take a deep breath and ask yourself, what am I still giving away that steals my peace? What stories, regrets, or longings do I keep reopening when maybe I should simply let them rest? In this video, we'll explore 5 life-changing truths lessons many seniors wish they had learned earlier about what to hold close and what to let go. These aren't about hiding who you are. They're about living lighter, freer, and more fully in this season of life. If this resonates with you, don't just watch, be part of the journey. Tap like to honor your own peace, subscribe so we can walk this path together, and share this video with someone who needs this reminder right now. Number 1. Guarding your financial freedom. Life has a way of teaching us when to slow down. After decades of hard work, raising families, paying bills, and building something meaningful, we eventually reach a stage where the world grows quieter. The hustle softens, and suddenly, there's space to breathe. You might think you finally earned the right to live without worry, to enjoy the life you carefully planned. And yet, somewhere in that silence, another thought creeps in. Should I tell my family everything about my finances? It feels natural to want transparency, to believe openness will bring comfort, trust, and unity. I used to believe that too. One spring afternoon, I decided to gather my family around the table. The same table where we'd celebrated birthdays and shared stories over warm dinners now held my financial life bank statements, insurance documents, my will neatly tucked in a folder. I spoke openly, thinking it would bring peace. For a moment, it did. My children smiled, grateful for my honesty. There were hugs, reassurances, and soft words about being prepared. But as time passed, something shifted quietly, almost invisibly at first. Little questions began appearing like drops of rain before a storm. Do you think it's wise to keep such a big house? Maybe you shouldn't spend so much on non-essentials. Are you budgeting enough for healthcare? Their voices were gentle, their intentions kind, but slowly, my independence began to feel negotiated. Every small indulgence, every personal decision became a topic for discussion. Lunch with friends, weekend drives, even donating to my church. Suddenly, I found myself explaining why. And that's when I realized something powerful. Sharing everything can come at the cost of freedom. I'm not alone in this. My friend Helen told me about Martin, her 81-year-old Nabera retired engineer, fiercely independent. He once called his sons together, excited to walk them through his plans. But soon afterward, they began pushing him to sell his home, move into assisted living, and hand over the management of his finances. Martin, who had always steered his own life, suddenly felt like a passenger. His story and mine taught me an important truth. Money isn't just about numbers. It carries your years of effort, sacrifice, and dignity. When you give away too much information too soon, you invite others, however, unintentionally into your private decisions. Even the most loving family members can overstep without realizing it. And sometimes, once the door is open, it doesn't close easily. Other relatives hear whispers. Cousins who rarely call start checking in. Distant family members suddenly want to know about your plans. It's subtle, but it changes things. That's why I've come to believe this. Privacy is not secrecy, it's protection. There is nothing wrong with planning ahead. Draft a clear will. Choose someone trustworthy to handle your affairs if you can't. Keep your documents in order. But protecting your peace means choosing carefully what to share, when to share it, and with whom. You don't owe anyone an explanation for buying new furniture, taking a weekend getaway, or giving generously to causes you care about. These choices are yours earned through a lifetime of perseverance and resilience. Your financial plans should serve one purpose above all else: your happiness, your comfort, and your freedom. If you feel pressured to reveal every detail, pause and ask yourself, am I sharing because I want to or because I feel guilty? Will this conversation bring me peace or invite unnecessary interference? Is this truly the right time with the right person? You've spent a lifetime making decisions, learning from mistakes, and carrying responsibilities. That wisdom doesn't vanish with age, and neither does your right to independence. The happiest seniors I've met are the ones who keep balance. They plan wisely, but don't surrender their privacy. They share what's necessary, not everything. They protect their autonomy while still preparing for the future. These days, I still treat myself. Sometimes I splurge on flowers, surprise a friend with a gift, or take a quiet road trip. Sometimes my family knows, sometimes they don't, and that's exactly how I want it. Not because I'm hiding anything, but because I finally understand this truth. Peace in later life comes from choosing what to share and keeping the rest for yourself. Number 2, health information. One small comment can change everything. You casually mention to your daughter that your back feels a little stiff, expecting nothing more than a sympathetic nod. But by evening, your phone won't stop ringing, relatives calling, advice flooding in, and someone even suggesting a specialist. Suddenly, a passing remark turns into a family emergency. Something subtle happens as the years go by, something we rarely notice until it's right in front of us. For so much of our lives, we're the ones who hold everything together, raising families, caring for parents, supporting friends, and showing up whenever someone needs us. We're the fixers, the decision makers, the strong shoulders others lean on. But then, somewhere along the way, the script quietly flips. It's not always obvious at first. Maybe you stand up a little slower than usual, and your daughter immediately asks, "Are you okay?" Or you casually mention to a friend that you didn't sleep well, and suddenly there's a gentle suggestion to take it easy. At first, these moments feel sweet reminders that you're loved and cared for. But over time, you start to notice a pattern. Every passing comment about your health turns into a checklist of advice, concern, and quiet hovering. I learned this the hard way one afternoon when my grandson came over for lunch. I mentioned, without thinking, that I'd felt a little lightheaded while gardening that morning. To me, it was nothing more than a casual remark I'd probably skipped breakfast. But within hours, my son called, my daughter-in-law texted, and by the next day, 2 family members had shown up with blood pressure monitors and electrolyte drinks. Suddenly, I wasn't just me anymore. I was the one we need to watch. Their intentions were pure, but the effect was unsettling. I felt smaller somehow, as though sharing one tiny detail had nudged me into a role I hadn't agreed to play, the fragile one. It made me think about my friend Helen, who's 78 and lives just a few streets away. She's one of those women who refuses to slow down, still bakes her own bread, still walks to the market every Saturday. A few months ago, she casually told her son that her knees had been aching after a long walk. The next week, he showed up with a list of low-impact exercises, called every evening to check on her, and even suggested she stop going to the market alone. Within days, Helen's independence, something she'd treasured her whole life, was quietly questioned. And that's the tricky part about health and aging. Sharing too much can unintentionally change the way people see you. A passing remark about a sore back becomes an unspoken sign that you're slowing down. A mention of poor sleep turns into whispers about decline. Before you know it, people you love start making decisions for you instead of with you. But here's what I've come to understand. There's power in being intentional about what you share. Not every ache, every twinge, or every restless night needs to be announced. That doesn't mean hiding serious concerns or pretending everything's fine when it's not. It simply means protecting the parts of your identity that go beyond your body's daily complaints. I've made a little rule for myself. Before I bring up a health concern, I ask 3 simple questions. Does this really need attention, or is it just temporary discomfort? Will sharing this make me feel supported, or will it cause unnecessary worry? Is this something I should discuss with my doctor instead of my family? You'd be amazed how many little issues don't need to become dinner table headlines. A stiff shoulder? I stretch it out. A headache? I rest and hydrate. And if it persists, I bring it up where it matters most in the doctor's office. Now, don't misunderstand me. When something significant happens, a fall, a troubling diagnosis, or a change that affects how I live, I'm the first to call my family. That's what love is for. But I've also learned that I don't owe everyone a running commentary on every ache and pain. Because here's the quiet truth. The more you focus on what's wrong, the bigger it starts to feel. Conversations slowly revolve around illness instead of joy, worry instead of laughter. And that's not how I want to spend these years. When I meet with friends, we talk about life books we've read, recipes we've tried, silly things our grandchildren said. Yes, we still swap stories about stiff joints or doctor visits, but it's done with a laugh, a shrug, and an understanding that everyone in the room is carrying something. We refuse to let our aches define us. Aging brings its challenges, no doubt. But it also brings clarity. You start to recognize what matters most: joy, purpose, connection, and realize that your health, while important, is just one chapter in a much bigger story. So I've made peace with being selective. I choose when to speak and when to keep things close to my chest. Not out of pride, not out of fear, but out of respect for myself and for the person I still am, capable, resilient, whole. Because at the end of the day, protecting your peace isn't about hiding who you are. It's about refusing to be defined by one small part of your experience. You are more than your symptoms. You are your laughter, your dreams, your memories, your strength. And maybe that's the real secret. You don't owe anyone every detail of your journey. You owe yourself the right to live fully on your terms, in your way, with your dignity intact. So the next time you're tempted to share every little thing, pause. Breathe. Ask yourself whether it adds to the story you want to tell about your life. Because your story is still yours to write. Number 3, getting involved in family conflicts. Let me ask you something. Have you ever tried to solve a family problem only to end up becoming part of the problem yourself? With age comes wisdom, but it also comes with an unexpected challenge knowing when to step in and when to step back. Families are like gardens. Sometimes you need to water, sometimes you need to prune, and sometimes the best thing you can do is simply let things grow on their own. I learned this the hard way. Years ago, my 2 sons had a heated disagreement about selling a piece of family property. Thinking I could help, I stepped in with what I believed was a balanced solution. Instead of calming the storm, I became the storm. One son felt I was taking sides, the other thought I was meddling, and suddenly, I was caught in the middle of a battle I never intended to fight. I'm not alone in this. My friend Sarah shared a similar story over coffee. Her daughters argued about who would care for their aging father. Sarah, wanting to be helpful, offered her opinion. The result? Both daughters accused her of favoritism, and she spent months trying to repair relationships that had been fine before she helped. Here's what I've learned. Family conflicts are rarely about the issue you see on the surface. Old wounds, pride, and buried emotions often hide underneath. Even the most innocent words can be misunderstood and magnified. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is not get involved at all. These days, I've adopted a new approach. I listen more than I speak. When someone vents to me, I don't immediately offer advice. Instead, I'll say things like, "I hear you. I understand how you feel. I trust you to work this out." It sounds simple, But those few words can do more to calm tensions than any solution I could offer. Does that mean you should never speak up? Of course not. If someone is in danger or truly needs your guidance, step in. But if it's just a clash of opinions, give your loved ones space to figure it out themselves. Here's the truth. Not every fight deserves your presence. Not every disagreement needs a referee. Sometimes, peace is found in silence. Your children, your grandchildren, they need to know you trust them. They need to feel that you believe in their ability to handle life's challenges. And when they do need you, they'll come. Choosing when to stay silent isn't weakness. It's strength. It's dignity. It's protecting your peace and your relationships. So the next time you feel tempted to jump in and fix everything, pause. Ask yourself, will this help or will it cause more harm? Is this my battle to fight? Will my silence bring more peace than my words? Most of the time, stepping back is the answer. Let your home be the safe harbor where your family finds comfort, not another battleground. Be the steady hand, the calm presence, the person they can count on, not the one who gets pulled into every storm. And if you remember nothing else from this section, remember this: you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. Guard your peace. Share your love. Be the quiet strength your family leans on. Number 4, sharing regrets from the past. As we grow older, there comes a time when we pause and sift through the years behind us. Faces, places, choices, they resurface like scattered photographs. Some make us smile, others bring a quiet ache. Regret is an inevitable companion of age. No matter how full our lives have been, there are always a few what-ifs softly lingering. The dream we set aside, the words left unspoken, the chances we were too afraid to take. These thoughts sneak up on us in the hush of the evening, in the slant of sunlight across the floor, or in the quiet spaces of our hearts. And for a fleeting moment, we wonder, what if I'd chosen differently? For a long time, I believed regret meant failure. I thought it was a sign I'd made the wrong choices. But life has taught me a gentler truth. Regret means you cared. It means you dreamed big enough to imagine more. It means you loved deeply enough to wonder what else could have been. It's not a mark of failure, it's a reminder that you lived. The challenge comes when we decide to share these feelings. Sometimes, without meaning to, we pass the weight of our memories onto the very people we love most. I remember one autumn afternoon, walking with my youngest daughter beneath a canopy of golden leaves. Out of nowhere, she asked softly, "Mom, do you ever wish you'd lived life differently?" I hesitated. Part of me thought about my dreams of traveling the world, teaching in faraway places, opening a quiet little bookshop by the sea. So I said gently, "Sometimes, yes, sometimes I wish I'd been braver." To me, it was a moment of honesty. To her, it sounded like loss. Later, she told me it made her feel as though the life we built together, the years of raising her and her siblings, wasn't enough. That broke my heart. Because the truth is, I wouldn't trade this life, this family, for anything. My regrets were real, but they were mine alone. That's the fragile thing about sharing regrets. Our loved ones often hear them through the filter of their own insecurities. When we say, "I wish I'd worked longer," but child might hear, "You weren't enough." When we admit, "I should have moved to a different city," someone close may feel they're the reason we stayed. I've seen this happen beyond my own life too. My neighbor Margaret, a retired nurse, once told her grandson she regretted never seeing Europe. Weeks later, she realized he'd stopped talking about his own travel plans, as if his joy might remind her of what she missed. Her passing comment became his silent burden. Over time, I've learned this. Our regrets are sacred. They carry our lessons, our longing, and our growth, but they don't define us. They are just threads in a bigger tapestry woven with love, resilience, and small triumphs. When we choose to speak of them, we should do so gently, framing our stories with gratitude rather than sorrow. Now, when my grandchildren ask about my life, I share the courage it took to try, the joy of unexpected turns, and the beauty of second chances. I tell them regrets are natural, but they're not the full story. They're reminders that we live boldly enough to command that, in itself, is a gift. I've learned to hold my reflections like an old photograph tenderly, without letting them overshadow today's sunlight. I focus on the laughter, the love, the memories we built, and I let my family know how deeply I cherish it all. If you ever feel the need to share your regrets, pause. Ask yourself, will this bring us closer, or will it weigh them down? Speak your truth, but choose your words with care. Let your loved ones remember you for your strength, your kindness, and the way you embraced life and not for the paths you didn't take. Because in the end, regrets are just one chapter. The real story, the one worth passing, honors the love we gave, the courage we found, and the grace with which we lived. And that, my friend, is more than enough. So, if this message touched your heart, give this video a thumbs up, share it with someone who needs comfort today, and subscribe so we can keep walking this journey together. And remember to type 4 in the comments if you're still high-ride love to know you stayed with me till the end. Number 5. Asset plans and wills. Imagine spending a lifetime working hard, raising a family, and building a home filled with memories, laughter, and love. You've weathered storms, celebrated victories, and built something worth passing on. As the years go by, it's only natural to start thinking about what happens when you're no longer here, how your legacy will live on, who will care for the things you've built, and how to ensure your family is protected. For many, this means preparing wills, organizing asset plans, and putting safeguards in place like powers of attorney and trusted executors. These decisions are not just wise, they're essential. They ensure that when the time comes, your wishes are respected and your family isn't left struggling with confusion or conflict. But here's something few people talk about. Sharing every detail of your estate plans too early can sometimes create problems you never intended. I once knew a man named Charles, a retired teacher with 3 grown children. Charles believed transparency was the best gift he could give his family. So, one evening, he sat them down and explained in detail how his assets would be divided, who would inherit the house, how the savings would be shared, and which sentimental items were meant for whom. He thought he was offering clarity and peace. But within a month, things began to change. His eldest son started hinting about renovations for the house even though Charles was still living in it. His daughter, who lived across the country, felt slighted that her share seemed less given her distance. The youngest son, usually close to his father, grew quiet and withdrawn, uncomfortable with how the conversation made everything feel transactional. What Charles hoped would unite his children instead introduced tension, subtle competition, and unspoken resentment. He confided in me later, his voice heavy. I thought I was giving them security, but it feels like I gave them something else to fight over. Money has a strange way of shifting dynamics. It can turn generosity into expectation, and love into entitlement, even when no one intends for it to happen. Once specific details are out in the open, your choices, even your spending, can come under quiet scrutiny. Why are you buying a new car if you're planning to leave us the house? Why are you taking that expensive trip instead of saving more for the family? Suddenly, the freedom to enjoy the life you've worked so hard for begins to feel restricted. And that's not how this chapter of life should be lived. This doesn't mean you should keep everything secret. Estate planning is important, and having someone you trust, whether a spouse, an adult child, or a legal representative, know your wishes is critical. But there's wisdom in balance. Sharing enough to ensure your wishes are respected while keeping some details private until the time is right can protect your peace and your relationships. Now, pause for a moment and ask yourself, will sharing this information strengthen my family or create silent competition? Am I sharing because it's necessary or because I feel pressured? Will revealing every detail give me peace or take it away? Do I trust myself enough to decide what's best for my future without guilt? Sometimes the answers are gentle reminders that your plans are yours. You're not obligated to explain, justify, or negotiate them. Your peace matters just as much as your preparations. And here's the truth. Your legacy is so much bigger than what's written in your will. It's in the life you've lived, the lessons you've taught, the laughter you've shared, and the love you've poured into the people around you. Long after documents are signed and accounts are settled, that's what your family will carry forward. So, as you plan for the future, remember this: be intentional with what you share and when. Choose someone you trust to carry out your wishes. Protect your peace as fiercely as you protect your assets. Because your life is more than numbers on paper. It's a story of courage, love, and resilience, and no amount of money can measure that. If this message speaks to you, tap the like button, share this video with someone who needs this reminder, and subscribe so we can keep walking through these life lessons together. And if you're still with me, type 3 in the comment side. Love to know you stayed until the end. As we wrap up today's reflections, one thing becomes beautifully clear. Life after 65 isn't about rushing, proving, or pleasing. It's about owning your peace. These years are a precious chapter, offering us the chance to live with more calm, dignity, and control over our personal stories. But here's the truth we've uncovered. Sharing everything, even with the best intentions, can sometimes create tension we never expected. It can lead to strained relationships, unnecessary worries, or even a quiet loss of independence. Still, keeping certain parts of our lives private, our finances, health choices, future plans, and deepest feelings, doesn't mean we're shutting people out. It simply means we're honoring ourselves, our boundaries, and the wisdom we've gained through decades of experience. You've walked a long road to get here. You've earned the right to hold some truths close, not because of mistrust, but because of self-respect. In this season of life, peace comes from choosing what to share, when to share it, and with whom. So, pause for a moment and ask yourself, what parts of my story are mine to keep, and which moments do I want to share openly? Sometimes, clarity begins with the questions we dare to ask ourselves. Life now should be about savoring joy, making memories, and creating meaning, not explaining every decision or defending every choice. This is your time to live boldly, gently, and on your own terms. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What's one lesson from today's message that truly resonated with you? Is there a truth or a boundary you're choosing to protect from now on? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs today. If this conversation touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Together, we're building a safe and thoughtful space where seniors can connect, reflect, and inspire one another to protect their peace, one choice, one boundary, one moment at a time. Thank you for being here with me today. Take care of your heart, cherish your calm, and always remember, you've earned the right to live life on your terms.